Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Assistant Professor Dr. Somai Singh Pachans. I'm from Laos. Um, Thank you so much for reviewing my video. My talk today will be about the title of Enhancing Primary Mathematics Teaching Through a Problem-Solving Approach, Designing Effective Lesson Structures for Deep Learning. Um, Let me proceed to the detail of each one. Here's the outlines of my talk. I starting from the background of the problem solving approach, and the second is the 5 steps of problem solving approach, and also several types of math lesson for different purposes and time allocation for conceptual understanding, as well as the time allocation for skills development and some examples of lessons. And the last one is the homework for you. Let me start from the background of the problem solving. If you have read some articles or some books, um, you will see that problem solving approach is already appear in the textbook many years ago. It's in 1945 to 1954. At that time, the problem-solving approach is appears in kind of life experience lesson. But when it comes to during the 1955 to 1964, problem-solving approach is in the form of the word problems, and in 1965 to 1974, it's in the form of method of instruction. According to the Fujis 2018, this kind of problem-solving approach is become the method of instruction. Mm. Um, the problem-solving approach is originally utilized in Japan's context. Teacher from Japan utilized this kind of teaching approach for a half century already, and it's become well known to the world by Stigler and Hebert, 1999, that they wrote the book named Teaching Gap. If you read this book, it will clearly explain the problem-solving approach and also lesson study. In this book, they mentioned that when they analyzed the video, they seen that Japanese classroom use problem-solving approach, and they feel it's kind of the classroom is better than the US classroom. So what is the problem-solving approach? In mathematics, the problem-solving approach is not just optional, or it's not just additional or add-on. Instead, it is how students learn mathematical content within the curriculum. The mathematics learning is dependent on the problem-solving approach. And also the problem-solving approach is relies on the mathematics as well. When we use the problem-solving approach, the role of teachers is should be focused on planning a very valuable task for student learning and also classroom facilitation. In problem-solving approach, mostly we emphasize on the real world situation or real world mathematical problems and try to focus on student attentions on the concepts that in that real world situation. For the teachers, should facilitate student to use the various solution, try to make many ways of solution in order to maximize the opportunity for learning mathematics. of that word problem. In problem-solving approach, there are several steps, but one of the steps here is about comparing and discussing. Later I will tell you the step in detail. In comparing and discussing, they call knowledge. In this step, student will come up with several solutions, and they might have different solution, and some is correct and some is wrong, and some is half wrong, half correct. So at this point, is very important for knowledge step that the teacher should bring up for discussion. Here, the step of problem-solving approach that I try to organize in this table. The first one, as mentioned earlier in the book of Teaching Gap, Stigler and Hebert mentioned here there are 5 steps of the problem-solving approach. And in that book, it's called structured problem solving. It's starting from the first one is reviewing previous lesson, followed by presenting the problem of the day, and student work individually or in group. After that, in the 4th step, it's discussion solution method. And in the 5th step, it's highlighting and summarizing the major points. For Isoda professor, also called problem-solving approach. And here he mentioned about 4 steps, starting from posing a problem, independently solving a problem, comparisons and discussion, and the 4th is the summary and application. And for Professor Fuji is talk about teaching mathematics through problem solving. And here he also given 4 steps, starting from presenting the problems for the day, and then problem solving by student, whether in group or individually. And the 3rd is comparing and discussing, and the 4th is summary of the student idea. For step of mathematics lesson in the textbooks of Laos, here we use 5 steps of the teaching's approach based on the problem-solving approach, starting from understanding the problem, solving the problem individually, comparing and discussing students' idea, and the 4th one is doing exercises and summarizing the lesson. This is the step of the primary mathematics education in Laos and being used nowadays. So let's see the description of each step. In here, 5 steps here, we didn't talk about the first or the 0 step or the introduction. Of course, when we have class, when we introduce any topic, we will starting from the introduction, like telling about today's topic and reviewing the previous lesson. But in here, we didn't put kind of clear step. Probably is embedded in the first step, like understanding the problem. Well, let's see the first step, understanding the problem. Here, it means that give a key questions and help students understand it. And here, the teachers should help students to understand the problem. And the second step is solving the problem individually. At this stage, the teachers should encourage students to solve the key question or to solve the problem by themselves. Do not copy from each other, focusing on their solution themselves. Use their previous knowledge to solve it. And the third one is comparing and discussing student idea. At this stage, also the teachers encourage students to explain or to share what they thought, what they found from their solving or from their solution and discuss in the class. And the fourth one is doing exercises. The teachers encourage students to do basic exercise based on what they have learned from the first step or from the comparing and discussing, and also checking the answer very quickly. And the fifth one is summarizing the lesson. It is expected that students will do the summary themselves, but the teachers kind of being facilitator and help them to summarize the lesson. Sorry. In primary mathematics textbooks of Laos, we have two kind of lessons. Like the first one is lesson for conceptual understandings, and the second one is lesson for skill development. Uh, Typically, the conceptual understanding is the first lesson or the new concept of the lesson. When we start the first lesson, we usually focusing on conceptual understanding. For the second time of that lesson, we'll be focusing on the skill development. For conceptual understanding is mainly it's about introducing the topic or understanding or developing mathematical concepts. For skill development, it's more focusing on the skill that students use, how fast they use, or kind of measurement or drawing skill, kind of practice, a lot of exercises, do solving exercises. Well, when we teach 5 steps of problem-solving approach in the Lao context, um, the time allocation is different. For example, here, uh, from step 0 to step 1, whose would be the main role at this stage? It is expected that the teachers should do the main role, try to help students understand the problem or introduce a previous lesson. For students, they are expected to do from the step 2 to step 5 themselves, facilitated by the teacher. This is the concepts of problem-solving approach. But in the reality, it might be different. It depends on the situations of the classroom as well. Sometimes students cannot follow up the teacher, and then the teachers should be flexible. Let's see the time here. For conceptual understanding, or for the first lesson that we want students to understand the concept of the problem. In the case one, if we focus on the thinking a problem, at this stage, we should focus more on step 2, allow them ample time, like from 15 to 20 minutes, so that they will have time to think when they solve that problem. For the rest, or for other steps, just 5 minutes might be appropriate at this stage. But we give them sufficient time to think and to solve themselves. In the case 2, for conceptual understanding, if the lesson is focused on student discussion, then the teachers might give them ample time, about 15 to 20 minutes in the step 4, or in the step of comparing and discussing ideas. At this stage, teachers will pray as the facilitator, try to bring up several solutions or different solutions that student made, so that student will have different points of view and learn from others as well. At this stage, we will emphasize or more focus on the step 4 and give them a lot of time at this one. For other step, just 5 minutes would be appropriate. For the time allocation for skill development, here, this we focus on the improving the skill. It means focus on the step 4, doing exercises. At this one, we focus on the acquisition or being familiar with several ways of solving mathematics, increasing the mathematical skills. That's why we more focus or we give more time on the step 4 in doing exercises. Here, you might see the teachers should give them doing exercise about 20 to 30 minutes. Do some exercises and share the solution or discussion. For the rest, just maybe 2 or to 5 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes would be appropriate. For example, here, the lesson here is about conceptual understanding. For this example, I use the grade 2 additions with carers. If we put the contents of the textbook into the 5 steps of problem-solving approach, step 1, understanding the problem. At this stage, the teacher should read aloud the question sentences and also facilitate students to understand the situation or to understand the problems themselves so that they will find the answer by themselves. Of course, some class, for example, if it's already in the grade 2 or grade 5, student already can read themselves. Probably at this stage, the teacher might ask student to read themselves or to read out loud themselves. It's also is good way to do. After that, after student understand the problems and know how to do it, it's come to step 2, solving the problem individually. Teachers should allow students to solve themselves. In this case, it's about the calculation of 37 plus 28. It is not directly abstract like this. Some students cannot think about this number. They might writing in the words. It's okay, or they might have other way of solving this kind of problem. It's fine because we focus on student thinking, on understanding conceptual understanding by themselves. When it comes to several solutions, at this stage, the teacher should be aware and should walk around to see what happened in the class. After students solving the problem individually, now it comes to the comparing and discussing their idea. The teacher should facilitate student or should encourage student to share their solution to the whole class and find out similarities and differences between those calculations. The teacher should play the main role to select which solution should be brought to the blackboard or to the whole class, and which one should come first and then second, so that students will see differences between their solutions and friends' solution. The teacher should discuss some right or wrong answer and also some complicated or easy one. For example, like here, when they come up with several solutions, the teachers should know how to handle it. When students have several solutions, several different solutions, the teacher should always focus on this way. It's very simple way. You can just follow this 4 steps. The first one is seeing which method or which way student use starting from the simple to complicated one. So if you select who will make presentation or who will give the idea, might be starting from the simple method first, and then the last would be complicated one. One also should be from easy first and then difficult one, from visual into abstract, and starting from wrong to right, so that every student will have equal opportunity to express their idea. So after discussion and comparison, now the teacher should facilitate students to use the real objects, use them in this kind of lesson here. They use the chopstick as example of real objects to do the addition. But for your lesson, you might use an additional, or you might use another material. It's also fine. After that, we come to the step 4, doing exercises. Teacher might use some additions with carry over and have students use the above idea to do those addition. At this stage, teachers might pick up one exercise first that related to the previous lesson, or that related to the real world problem that they just solved. After that, it's come to step 5, is summarizing the lesson. At this stage, as I mentioned earlier, that we are expecting students to summarize themselves, and the teacher should be facilitated. Then the teacher should facilitate students to look back the way to do addition that they have already done earlier, and then ask students to write their summary in their textbook itself. Of course, at this stage, some students cannot do it, and some students can do well. So the teachers might help them to summarize the lesson. In the case the whole class cannot do that, the teachers should help them. Maybe the teachers should provide additional sheet for the lesson summary. If the whole class cannot do it, the teacher might show that up. Now is the example of lessons for skill development. Also, for skill development, also follow the 5 steps of problem-solving approach, starting from the step 1, understanding the problem. At this stage, the mathematical problem is not the real world problem anymore. It's more abstract one. As you see here, example of 26 plus 54. So the teacher used this one directly, and then ask students to solve it themselves. After this, the understanding, and then come to step 2, solving the problems individually. A student might do calculation because they already learned how to calculate this kind of addition. While the teacher should look around or move around to support the student when they doing exercise. After that is the same step, step 3, comparing and discussing students' idea. Teachers might take the students' solutions to show to the class, discuss how or this kind of one solution have mistakes, or is wrong, or it's not correct, something like that. So teachers should move around and try to try to select in mind that who will be presented their work. And then doing exercises. At here, there are several exercises. So as mentioned earlier, that we give more time on doing exercise when it comes for skill development about 20 to 30 minutes. So here we have 8 exercises. So the teacher should ask students to do all these exercises quickly. And then when the time's up, they ask students to stop calculation and check the answer with neighbor friends and then share with the whole class. At this stage, we focus on more on the accuracy or who is the fastest one and who is still slow. So this is more on a skill development. And then it's come to the summary, the lesson. Ask student to look back in the class that how to do the addition, uh, the 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 fast way and the simple way, what method that they will use. So the teachers remind students that they should observe doing like this is kind of error, doing this is a mistake. So ask them to be aware of that and try to avoid repeating the same mistake of what they have already learned. Well, this is my lectures. Thank you so much for following me up. If you have any questions, you can send me email or text me in WeChat. And that is all for me. It now is your turn. I have homeworks for you guys. Um, I will read it. The first one is I ask you to analyze one lessons from your primary mathematics textbook and determine what kind of teaching methods is provided for teaching primary mathematics in that textbook. You might analyze or you might check it out in the teacher's guidebook or in the textbook. It might be available there. If your curriculum uses a similar teaching approach like problem-solving approach, and then you choose one topic from that textbook and try to organize its content into 5 steps for a lesson that promotes conceptual understanding. I choose only one, not of skill development, but for promoting conceptual understanding. If the teacher's guidebook provides a different teaching method, it's not like problem-solving approach, but the textbook or your curriculum of primary mathematics textbook is just another way of teaching method, another theory, and then explain me how it differs from the problem-solving approach. So this is your homework. Thank you so much. I hope we will have time for discussion or when you chat me. Thank you so much.